Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Warriors fans are hoping that Michael Porter Jr. will be signed. He has been one of the best scorers in the Eastern Conference. Why Michael Porter Jr. makes sense for the Warriors. Porter is not just a scorer. He is the exact type of scorer the Warriors need. At 6 feet 10 inches, he can play both forward spots and provides the kind of size and length that Golden State has lacked for years. Porter spaces the floor at an elite level, taking over 9 threes per game and knocking them down at a 40% clip. That means defenses cannot help off him, which opens up driving lanes for Curry and creates better offensive flow. Porter also has championship experience. He was a key contributor on the 2023 Nuggets title team, so he understands what it takes to win in the playoffs. The biggest concern is durability. Porter missed significant time early in his career due to back injuries. However, he has played 70-plus games in each of the last 2 seasons. If that trend continues, Golden State would be getting a legitimate second scoring option who can take pressure off Curry every single night. What Golden State must decide. The trade deadline is February 6th. The clock is ticking. Golden State has been linked to countless names over the last few months. Porter might be the most realistic high-level scorer available. He is on a team that wants to move him. He fits the Warriors' timeline. There are plausible trade pathways that do not require Golden State to gut their entire roster. The question is whether the Warriors are willing to part with 2 unprotected first-round picks and key role players like Moses Moody. Those picks could be valuable down the line, especially if the Warriors fall off after Curry retires. But if Golden State is serious about competing now, those future picks do not matter as much as giving Curry one more real chance at a championship. Kuminga is gone either way. The relationship with Steve Kerr is beyond repair, and he becomes trade-eligible on January 15th. The Warriors have to flip him for something that helps them win now. Porter is exactly that. Final word for the Warriors. Michael Porter Jr. is exactly what the Warriors need right now. He can score at a high volume. He spaces the floor. Porter has championship experience. And he is available at a time when the Warriors desperately need to make a move. Why a simple Warriors-Nets trade won't work. The biggest obstacle to any Porter deal is Jonathan Kuminga. According to the Steinline's Jake Fisher, the Nets have not shown much interest in acquiring Jonathan Kuminga dating to last summer. That kills the most obvious trade pathway for Golden State, a straightforward Kuminga for Porter swap. Instead, the Warriors need to find a third team that wants Kuminga and has something Brooklyn would actually accept in return. Kuminga has been linked to several teams in recent months. The Chicago Bulls, New Orleans Pelicans, and Indiana Pacers have all shown interest. But not all of those teams have assets that would entice Brooklyn. Joe Akeley of Sports Illustrated recently floated 2 3-team trade scenarios that could work for all parties involved. Trade pitch number 1, Bulls facilitate the deal. Warriors get Michael Porter Jr., Dallin Terry. Bulls get Jonathan Kuminga, Tracy Jackson-Davis, Knicks 2027 first-round pick, via Bulls. Nets get Kobe White, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, 2026 unprotected first-round pick, via Warriors, 2028 unprotected first-round pick, via Warriors. Did Draymond Green hint that a Michael Porter Jr. trade is coming? On the latest episode of his podcast, Draymond Green made a comment that could be a hint that the Warriors have a trade in place for Michael Porter Jr. Or it could be nothing. While discussing Porter for being his December choice for the Who Made the Jump award, Green said the following. He's made himself a very valuable asset for the Brooklyn Nets. We shall see what they do with it over the next 9 days, but I respect what Mike said. Mike said, I want to be here. It's possible Green recorded this podcast a couple of days ago, which would mean that over the next 9 days comment would line up exactly with when Jonathan Kuminga is first eligible to be traded on January 15th. Clutch Point's Brett Siegel was among the media members who commented on the timing of his next 9 days, quote. Even if this is nothing, it's a good sign for the Dubs that Green is praising MPJ. In the 2024 offseason, the Warriors were rumored to be targeting Jazz big man Lauri Markkanen. They ultimately did not meet Utah's asking price, and we'll never know for sure how close they were to getting him. More than a year later, ESPN's Anthony Slater wrote the following. Green even told Mike Dunleavy and controlling owner Joe Lacob the summer prior not to greenlight a trade for Lauri Markkanen, considering the Utah Jazz were asking for all the draft picks and young players. To be fair to Green, he never said he didn't think Markkanen was a great player. But the fact that he's publicly praising Porter suggests he'd be on board with a trade for him. How much will Porter cost? A leak source speculated to NBC Sports Bay Area's Dalton Johnson that Porter will cost 2 first-round picks, which feels right. If the Warriors can get him for 2 firsts, even if they are unprotected, and the money-matching trio of Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody and Buddy Hield, they shouldn't hesitate to make the deal. The problem is the Nets reportedly don't want Kuminga, and it's tricky to find a third team that has something it is willing to give up that the Nets might also want. Some have speculated that the Sacramento Kings can trade Malik Monk to Brooklyn in a 3-team construction, but I'd be surprised if the Nets have any interest in Monk, a 27-year-old inefficient scorer with major defensive issues. But at some point the Nets will have to decide if they're really willing to kill this trade concept due to disliking Kuminga, who essentially has an expiring contract. The Warriors have the most valuable picks that the Nets can get. Even if they don't want Kuminga, they could take him on to get those Golden State draft assets. Warriors forward reportedly done in Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga has reportedly played his last game in a Golden State Warriors uniform. One of the most tumultuous stories in the NBA this season has reached its final chapter as the Warriors and Kuminga's camp have reached a mutual understanding about the next step for the young forward. Once viewed as a potential cornerstone of the Warriors dynasty, Kuminga's relationship with the organization deteriorated due to inconsistency, a lack of a defined role, and philosophical differences about what's best for his development. A very frustrating tenure for the young forward. Kuminga's raw talent and athleticism have never been in question. His ability to play downhill and dominate in transition is a facet of his game that Golden State tried to implement as his role on the team, but Kuminga wanted more. The way the offense flows through Curry was an issue for Kuminga in finding his own rhythm, and when he did, it would disrupt the team's rhythm, ultimately creating an uneasy fit for him on the floor. Golden State is looking to win now, and the best recipe for that is through Stephen Curry. While Kuminga is still going to be great in the league, his lack of sustainability, even when a role was finally carved out for him, is why there's been this saga surrounding his entire season. Not being disciplined defensively and a lack of off-ball awareness are areas where he showed flashes, but as the Warriors leaned more on the veterans who catapulted the Warriors to a top 5 defense, this often relegated Kuminga to the bench, sometimes inexplicably. Head coach Steve Kerr created a very short leash for the freedom Kuminga wanted to play with at times, leading to frustrating remarks from both sides. Health is the main priority for Kuminga's camp. From Kuminga's camp's perspective, the priority has shifted solely to health as they look forward to the next opportunity. After battling nagging injuries and countless DNPs, Kerr felt it was time to call Kuminga into action a few games back, but the forward was reluctant and instead sat out with an injury listed. He's checked out, and there will be no rekindling of the situation. It's simply time to move on as he preserves his body and confidence heading into the next phase of his career. Playing sporadic minutes only heightens any injury risk, tanking his already depreciated value. For the Warriors, one would think moving on is inevitable, but recent reports have indicated Golden State may keep Kuminga past the trade deadline. In regard to those reports, it's likely a way to boost his trade value, along with recent comments from Draymond Green praising Kuminga and video packages highlighting the young forward. The Warriors' approach of propaganda over playing time is certainly interesting, but Kuminga's value still holds intrigue for teams willing to invest in his upside with a clearer development path. For Kuminga, a fresh start is mandatory at this juncture. One where his growth is measured by sustained opportunities, not short-term mistakes, and that door never opened for him in Golden State. Steve Kerr admits regret at Jordan Poole-Chris Paul trade. While Golden State have been vindicated for moving on from Poole given he's proven an inconsistent player making over $30 million per season, The Rollins piece has come back to bite them after drafting the 6 feet 3 inches guard with the 44th overall pick in 2022. Speaking prior to facing Rollins again on Wednesday night, Steve Kerr admitted that the Warriors wouldn't have made the trade had they envisioned Rollins becoming this good. This happens pretty often where guys get tossed into a trade, and obviously, if we had seen this coming, we wouldn't have made that trade. He's playing great and so we're happy for him, Kerr said. Obviously, if we had seen this coming, we wouldn't have made that trade. Steve Kerr is thrilled that Ryan Rollins, former Warriors draft pick, is having a great season with the Bucks. pic.twitter.com/vn1deadw2z6. Joseph Dicus, at Joseph_Dicus, January 8, 2026. Rollins has been one of the most improved players in the NBA this season, having taken hold of a starting role in Milwaukee in his 4th year in the league. The 23-year-old is averaging 17.2 points, 4.4 rebounds, 5.7 assists and 1.6 steals this season, remarkably up from 6.2 points, 1.9 rebounds, 1.9 assists and 0.8 steals in 56 games a year ago. Perhaps the most impressive aspect to Rollins' game has been the efficiency, having shot 48.2% from the floor and 42.1% from three-point range on nearly 6 attempts per game. It's remarkable to think that of the glut of guards Golden State have on their roster currently, Rollins would be the best of them, outside Stephen Curry obviously, given his two-way impact. Would Rollins have ever developed like this with the Warriors though? Probably not. He was such a low-value piece at the time that a Paul trade may still have gone through, even if the front office had been adamant on keeping Rollins. Still, it's hard not to think about the impact that trade made on Young now arriving in Washington, while Rollins becomes a legitimate starter in Milwaukee and Poole struggles to deliver consistent impact in New Orleans. Warriors' foolish offseason Buddy Hield stance may be coming back to bite them. Does Hield have any trade value whatsoever? Par for Wild. The Golden State Warriors' recent offseason was marred by the Jonathan Kuminga standoff. As the trade deadline approaches, it seems as though not much has changed. Kuminga has been allowed on the court for just 9 minutes over the team's last 14 games. His trade value yet again sits in a strange limbo, and this season, at the very least, has done nothing to resuscitate it. While bringing Kuminga back on a 2-year contract provides them with a much-needed trade chip, their inability to trade him in the offseason has been something that's loomed over the team. In many ways, this failure can be blamed on their initial unwillingness to move the contracts of Moses Moody and Buddy Hield, a hesitancy they surely regret right now. Buddy Hield is not only unmovable, but he's left the Warriors in an almost unescapable predicament. In his first season with the Warriors, Hield was highly important to the team's offensive structure despite his inconsistent play. He averaged 11.1 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 1.6 assists while shooting 37% from three-point range. This season, that production has fallen off a cliff. Across 32 games, he's averaging 7.6 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 1.4 assists while shooting 32.4% from beyond the arc. He's received DNPs in 6 of Golden State's last 10 games. This past offseason, the team refused to move him or Moody to ensure they had enough shooting on the roster to complement Stephen Curry. However, this prevented them from pairing either of those contracts with Kuminga's in a sign-and trade. Granted, the options they had for a Kuminga trade this past offseason were limited, at least to the public eye. Who knows what might have shaken out, however, if the organization was willing to aggregate the salaries necessary to make a needle-moving trade? Holding on to Moody made sense. He had a great run at the end of last season, and his combined youth and defensive acumen make him a valuable fit on the Warriors. Hield, however, is on the second year of a 4-year, $38 million contract that is looking worse and worse by the day. Were he still a viable rotation player, that would be a valuable trade chip. As of now, he is not. They are now stuck with both Hield and Kuminga on the roster, and neither player is contributing very effectively to the team's success. If they are able to pull off a blockbuster trade over the next 4 weeks using these contracts, their offseason stance will have paid off. For the time being, it seems like they might have made a major mistake.